My young people, listen to me carefully today. The future of any nation depends on its youth. If the youth is strong, disciplined, and focused, no power in the world can stop that nation from rising. But leadership does not come by chance. It comes from habits. It comes from what you do every single day. Today, I am going to share with you 3 simple daily habits that will shape your character, give you direction, and turn you from followers into leaders. I kept it short, punchy, and in Imran Khan's tone, hopeful, passionate, and slightly dramatic. Discipline shapes destiny, and without discipline, no dream, no vision, and no goal can ever become a reality. Throughout history, every individual who achieved greatness, whether in leadership, sports, education, or personal growth, had one thing in common: they mastered the art of discipline. Discipline is not about restricting yourself or living without joy. Rather, it is about training your mind and body to stay committed to the path you have chosen, even when distractions, temptations, and difficulties surround you. Many young people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack discipline. Talent may give you a good start, but only discipline can take you to the finish line. For a young person, life is full of choices every single day. The choice to wake up early or sleep a little longer, the choice to study or waste time, the choice to work on personal growth or scroll endlessly on a phone. Each of these choices, small as they may seem, are shaping the future. Discipline is the invisible force that pushes you to make the right choice, the difficult choice, the one that leads to progress. Without it, you fall into the trap of comfort, and comfort is the enemy of growth. Great leaders are not born in comfort. They are born in struggle, sacrifice, and consistent discipline. Discipline is the foundation of self-control. It teaches you to delay short-term pleasures for long-term success. Imagine a student preparing for exams. The easy thing is to watch movies, spend time on games, and enjoy the moment. But the disciplined student chooses to study, to revise, and to prepare. In the short term, it may feel like a sacrifice, but in the long term, it becomes the reason for success. The same principle applies to every area of life. A disciplined athlete trains when others rest, and that discipline shows in the results on the field. A disciplined entrepreneur works on his vision when others doubt, and that discipline shows in the success of his business. Discipline does not guarantee success overnight, but it guarantees progress every single day. When you look at discipline closely, you realize it is actually freedom. It frees you from laziness, it frees you from regret, and it frees you from failure. Those who lack discipline live in the prison of excuses. They tell themselves, I don't have time, I don't have resources, I don't have energy. While the disciplined ones create time, manage resources, and generate energy through consistent effort. Discipline may look tough from the outside, but it is the only bridge between your dreams and your destiny. Without it, your goals remain just wishes, but with it, your wishes turn into achievements. For the youth, discipline is more important than anything else. You are in the phase of life where habits are being formed, where character is being built, and where your future direction is being set. If you build the habit of discipline now, you will carry it with you into every stage of your life. Whether it is waking up early, dedicating time to learning, managing your health, or controlling your emotions, every small act of discipline will accumulate into a powerful force that shapes who you become. Leaders are not those who control others first. They are those who control themselves first. Self-discipline is the greatest form of leadership, and once you master it, you naturally inspire others to follow. Consistency builds leaders, and without it, even the greatest effort fades away. One act of hard work, one day of focus, or 1 week of discipline is not enough to create lasting impact. What truly transforms an ordinary person into an extraordinary leader is the ability to show up every single day with the same energy, the same determination, and the same commitment, regardless of whether the world is watching or not. Consistency is the hidden strength that compounds small actions into massive achievements. It is like planting a seed in the ground. Watering it once will not make it grow, but watering it regularly, even if it looks like nothing is happening, will eventually bring a tree to life. Leaders understand this law of consistency, and that is why they keep moving forward step by step, day by day. When we look at successful people, we often admire their results, but ignore their process. Behind every medal won by an athlete, behind every speech delivered by a great leader, behind every innovation created by an entrepreneur, there are countless days of consistent effort that no one saw. A cricketer does not become world-class by practicing only when he feels inspired. He becomes world-class by practicing every single day, hitting thousands of balls, repeating the same drills, enduring the same routines until they become part of him. That is the power of consistency. It is not glamorous, it is not always exciting, but it is the force that builds greatness silently. For the youth, consistency is the key to unlocking potential. Many young people start with passion and excitement, but they burn out quickly because they rely only on motivation. Motivation may start your journey, but only consistency keeps you moving when motivation disappears. There will be days when you feel tired, days when you feel uninspired, days when progress looks invisible. Those are the moments that separate leaders from followers. Followers stop when it gets hard. Leaders continue because they understand that small progress every day is better than none. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about doing something even when you do not feel like it, because you know the value of long-term results. Consistency also builds trust. People do not follow leaders who shine for a moment and then disappear. They follow leaders who show up again and again with reliability. Imagine a leader who makes promises but never delivers, compared to one who delivers small but steady results over time. The second one earns respect because consistency creates credibility. In friendships, in relationships, in careers, and in leadership, people want to rely on someone who is dependable, not someone who only shows up when it is convenient. Consistency transforms you into that dependable person who others can trust, and trust is the foundation of leadership. Consistency also sharpens skills. No one masters anything overnight. A musician becomes great not by playing once a week, but by practicing daily. A student excels not by studying only during exams, but by revising daily. A speaker becomes powerful not by giving one speech, but by speaking consistently, improving little by little each time. This repeated effort polishes talent, builds confidence, and turns weakness into strength. Every time you repeat an action with consistency, your brain and body adapt, and what once felt difficult becomes effortless. That is how leaders are made, not in one day, but in many days of consistent practice. For youth dreaming of leadership, consistency is your best teacher. You may not see results instantly, but each day you remain committed. You are building habits, character, and resilience that will serve you for life. Leadership is not about one big moment of glory. It is about showing up, working hard, and setting an example daily. Leaders are not remembered for what they did once. They are remembered for what they did repeatedly. If you want to become a leader, focus not only on starting strong, but on continuing strong, because consistency builds leaders. Focus creates clarity, and clarity is what separates those who wander aimlessly from those who achieve extraordinary success. In today's world, the biggest challenge facing young people is not a lack of opportunities, but a lack of focus. There are endless distractions: social media, entertainment, peer pressure, unnecessary comparisons that keep the mind scattered in 1,000 directions. When your attention is divided, your energy is divided, and when your energy is divided, your progress becomes slow. Focus is like a magnifying glass. When sunlight passes through it without direction, it does nothing. But when focused, it can create fire. The same is true for the human mind. Without focus, all the potential in the world remains wasted. But with focus, that potential turns into power. Every great leader in history was defined by their ability to focus. They did not chase everything. They chose one path and committed themselves to it with unwavering clarity. This ability to filter out distractions, and prioritize what truly matters is what gave them vision and direction. A leader who tries to please everyone, who tries to do everything at once, ends up achieving nothing. But a leader who focuses on a mission, who concentrates his efforts on a clear goal, becomes unstoppable. For the youth, this lesson is critical because your energy is at its peak, your creativity is strong. But if you spread it across too many things, it will lose its impact. When you focus, you channel that energy into one powerful direction. Focus also gives clarity of thought. Most of the confusion young people face comes from being too distracted. They jump from one goal to another, one plan to another, one interest to another, without giving anything enough time to grow. Focus demands sacrifice because when you choose one thing, you say no to many others. That is why it feels difficult, but it is also why it works. A student who focuses on studies instead of wasting hours on distractions will always perform better. An athlete who focuses on training instead of late night pleasures will always excel. A young entrepreneur who focuses on building skills instead of instant success will always stand ahead in the future. Focus sharpens vision and clears the fog that surrounds the mind. Focus also creates strength during challenges. Life is not smooth. Every journey has difficulties. Without focus, challenges look like reasons to quit. With focus, challenges look like part of the journey. When you are focused, you know where you are going, and that knowledge gives you the power to overcome obstacles. Distractions lose their power because you are too busy moving forward. Many young people give up not because they lack talent, but because they lack focus. They start strong, but the moment life tests them, they lose sight of the bigger picture. Focus anchors you during storms. It reminds you of your purpose when things get tough. That clarity is what builds resilience and persistence. Focus also multiplies productivity. When you do something with full attention, you do it better, faster, and with more creativity. Multitasking may look impressive, but it often leads to shallow results. Leaders are not multitaskers, they are deep workers. They dedicate full attention to the task in front of them and complete it with excellence. Imagine the difference between someone who studies for 3 hours while checking their phone every few minutes and someone who studies with full concentration for just 1 hour. The second person will always achieve more because focus increases the quality of work. For youth, learning to focus is the most valuable skill because it helps you achieve in less time what others struggle with for years. Focus is also contagious. When people see a young person committed to a goal with full attention, it inspires them. They recognize seriousness, they recognize direction, and they naturally begin to respect and follow. A focused individual stands out in a crowd of distracted minds. That is the quality of a leader, someone who knows where are going, and because they know others are willing to walk with them. Focus creates clarity, and clarity creates leadership. Self-belief drives action, and without it, even the greatest plans remain trapped in the mind. The difference between a person who dreams and a person who achieves is not just talent or resources, it is the confidence to take the first step. Self-belief is the inner voice that tells you, yes, I can do this, even when the world doubts you, even when circumstances are against you. Every leader who ever changed history started as an ordinary individual, but what set them apart was their unshakable belief in themselves. They refused to accept that they were powerless. They refused to accept that their dreams were too big. They chose to believe, and that belief pushed them into action. When young people doubt themselves, they hesitate. They wait for permission, for support, for perfect conditions. And in the process, they waste precious time. Opportunities pass by those who wait, but opportunities open for those who act. Self-belief is what gives you the courage to act even when conditions are not perfect. It tells you that you do not need to be ready. You just need to start. Without self-belief, fear takes over. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment. But with self-belief, fear loses its power because you trust that no matter what happens, you will learn, you will grow, and you will move forward. Leaders are not free of failure. They face it again and again, but what keeps them moving is belief. Every time they fall, they rise again because they never stop trusting themselves. Think of inventors who faced rejection hundreds of times, athletes who lost countless matches, or leaders who were criticized in the early days. What made them stand firm was not the approval of others, but the belief in their own ability to succeed eventually. For the youth, this is a critical lesson. If you wait for the world to validate you before you act, you will wait forever. If you believe in yourself, you create your own validation through action. Self-belief also builds resilience. Life is full of setbacks, and without belief, setbacks crush the spirit. With belief, setbacks become lessons. A young person who trusts in their ability to recover will never fear loss because they know they can rebuild. This resilience is the foundation of leadership. Followers give up when they fail. Leaders rise stronger because their belief in themselves is stronger than their fear of failure. Self-belief does not guarantee that everything will be easy, but it guarantees that nothing will break you permanently. That mindset is what inspires others, because people naturally follow those who believe in themselves. Another powerful quality of self-belief is that it opens creativity and boldness. When you believe in yourself, you dare to think differently. You dare to try what others call impossible. You are not afraid to challenge traditions, to innovate, to lead change. Many revolutions in science, technology, and society began with a single individual who believed in an idea when nobody else did. If they had doubted themselves, they would have stayed silent. But because they believed, they acted. And because they acted, the world changed. Self-belief is the spark that ignites innovation. For young people, self-belief is like fuel for the journey. You may not have all the answers, you may not have all the resources, but if you believe in your ability to learn, adapt, and improve, you will find a way forward. Every skill can be learned, every weakness can be improved, but only if you take action, and action only comes when you believe you are capable. Leaders are not the most talented people in the room. They are the ones who act when others hesitate. That action is born from self-belief. Learning never stops, and the moment you think you know everything is the moment you begin to decline. Leaders are not those who have all the answers. They are those who remain humble enough to keep searching for better answers every single day. The world is constantly changing. Technology is evolving. Societies are shifting, and challenges are becoming more complex. In such a world, the greatest strength a young person can develop is the hunger to learn. Knowledge is not just found in classrooms or books, it is everywhere. In experiences, in failures, in conversations, in observation, and in practice. Leaders are students of life, and they never allow arrogance to stop them from learning something new. Many young people make the mistake of believing that once they finish school or university, their education is complete. In reality, formal education is only the beginning. Real education happens when you step into the world, when you face situations that test your patience, your intelligence, and your creativity. Every mistake teaches you something. Every failure carries a lesson. Every challenge trains your character. Leaders understand this, and that is why they embrace life as a continuous classroom. They are not ashamed to ask questions. They are not afraid to admit what they do not know. And they are never too proud to learn from others, even from those younger or less experienced than them. Learning also builds adaptability. A leader who refuses to learn becomes rigid, and rigidity breaks in the face of change. A leader who keeps learning becomes flexible, and flexibility allows survival in any environment. Imagine a youth who learns new skills, explores new perspectives, and constantly improves. That young person will always find opportunities, no matter how fast the world changes. On the other hand, someone who stops learning will quickly be left behind. Because the world does not wait for anyone, leaders cannot afford to stay the same. They must grow, and growth only comes through learning. Continuous learning also keeps the mind humble. When you keep learning, you realize how much more there is to know. you stop pretending to be perfect, and instead you start focusing on progress. This humility makes you approachable, and people respect leaders who are willing to listen, willing to adapt, and willing to grow. Arrogance pushes people away, humility attracts them, and humility is built through the recognition that knowledge is endless. A true leader never thinks, "I know enough." They always think, "What more can I learn to become better?" For young people, developing the habit of lifelong learning is one of the greatest investments. It is not only about academic knowledge, but also about emotional intelligence, communication, leadership skills, and self-awareness. A young person who reads daily, who listens to mentors, who reflects on their experiences, and who keeps practicing new abilities will always stand ahead of those who stop at what they already know. Leaders are made through curiosity because curiosity pushes them to explore beyond the obvious and to discover solutions others have not thought of. Another important part of continuous learning is learning from failure. Too often, youth see failure as the end, but leaders see it as part of the process. Every failure carries lessons that success cannot teach. Success may bring comfort, but failure brings wisdom. When you learn from your mistakes, instead of running from them, you build resilience, creativity, and problem-solving skills. Leaders are not those who never failed. They are those who kept learning from each failure until they found the right way forward. That mindset separates them from those who quit too soon. Learning never stops because life never stops teaching. Each day offers something new to those who pay attention. A leader sees lessons in ordinary moments, learns from both victories and defeats, and grows with every experience. For the youth, this means that no matter where you are, no matter what stage of life you are in, you must remain a student. The habit of continuous learning keeps you sharp, keeps you relevant, and keeps you ready to lead. Service defines true leadership because leadership is not about titles, positions, or power. It is about responsibility. A leader is not remembered for how much wealth he collected or how much authority he held, but for how many lives he touched and how much difference he made in the lives of others. Service is the true measure of leadership because it shifts the focus from self to society, from personal gain to collective progress. The greatest leaders in history, whether they were political leaders, reformers, teachers, or visionaries, all shared one thing in common. They served. They gave their time, their energy, and sometimes even their lives for the benefit of others. This spirit of service is what inspires people to follow them long after they are gone. For the youth, this principle is especially important. Many young people dream of leadership for the wrong reasons. They see it as fame, recognition, or control. But leadership is not about being above others. It is about being among them, lifting them, guiding them, and supporting them. When you approach leadership with a mindset of service, your actions naturally earn respect and loyalty. People do not follow leaders who demand respect. They follow leaders who serve with sincerity. Service creates trust, and trust is the strongest bond between a leader and their people. Service also builds character. When you serve others, you learn humility, patience, and empathy. You begin to understand struggles beyond your own, and that awareness shapes you into a leader who makes better decisions. A self-centered person may achieve success for a while, but they cannot sustain leadership because eventually people see through selfish motives. A leader who genuinely serves creates a legacy because their actions are rooted in compassion. Youth who practice service, even in small ways, helping a friend, supporting a classmate, contributing to the community, begin to build the qualities of true leadership. Leadership starts not with big speeches, but with small acts of service done with consistency. Service also inspires others. When people see someone dedicating themselves to serve without expecting rewards, they feel motivated to do the same. This creates a chain reaction that multiplies impact. A leader who serves becomes an example, and an example is more powerful than instructions. Young people must understand that service is not weakness, it is strength. It takes courage to put others before yourself, to sacrifice personal comfort for a greater cause, and to commit to something bigger than your own interests. That courage is what separates true leaders from those who only seek personal gain. Another important truth is that service gives meaning to leadership. Wealth and recognition may bring temporary satisfaction, but they do not bring fulfillment. Fulfillment comes when you know that your efforts created change, that someone's life improved because of you, that your leadership left the world better than you found it. Leaders who serve live with purpose, and purpose gives strength to overcome challenges. When your goal is only yourself, failure feels heavy. But when your goal is service, failure becomes fuel to try again, because the cause is bigger than your personal comfort. For the youth, embracing service as a core principle of leadership will shape you into the kind of leader the world needs today. The world is full of people who want to take, but short of those who want to give. Be the one who gives, who contributes, who uplifts, and who leads by serving. Service is not about waiting until you are powerful or rich. It starts where you are, with what you have, and with whoever you can help. That is where true leadership begins, and that is what defines those who leave a mark that time cannot erase. My young people, today we have talked about 6 powerful principles that can turn ordinary youth into extraordinary leaders. Discipline shapes your destiny. Consistency builds your strength. Focus gives you clarity. Self-belief drives you into action. Learning keeps you growing. And service defines your true purpose. These are not just habits. These are foundations upon which great lives and great nations are built. I want you to remember one thing. Leadership is not about waiting for the perfect time, the perfect resources, or the perfect support. Leadership begins with you, here and now, in the small decisions you make daily. When you wake up early instead of wasting time, you are practicing discipline. When you repeat positive actions day after day, you are building consistency. When you ignore distractions and dedicate yourself to your goal, you are mastering focus. When you trust your own ability, even when no one else does, you are strengthening self-belief. When you stay humble and keep learning, you are preparing yourself for every challenge life throws at you. And when you use your strength, not only for yourself but to serve others, that is when you truly become a leader. The future of any nation lies in its youth, and you must ask yourself, what kind of future do I want to build? Do I want to live a life of comfort and regret? Or do I want to live a life of purpose and impact? Every generation is given a chance to rise, and this is your chance. You do not need extraordinary circumstances to lead. You need extraordinary commitment to these daily habits. Greatness is not born overnight. It is built step by step, day by day, with patience, struggle, and belief. Do not underestimate the power of these habits. If you practice them with sincerity, you will transform not only your own life, but also inspire countless others around you. That is the essence of leadership. It is not about creating followers. It is about creating more leaders. So my message to you is simply believe in yourself. Discipline yourself. Focus your energy. Stay consistent. Never stop learning and live a life of service. If you do this, nothing in the world can stop you from becoming the kind of leader our future desperately needs.